Hi guys, Shemo Polot here. Welcome back to the channel. Last week I did something on creating order forms and I ended up using a complex if function as well as a complex VLOOKUP function to get some of that stuff done, and backed by popular demand, it made sense for me to do a little bit more on the if function and VLOOKUP just so you can get a sense of how it works. So which is what I'm doing today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use some sort of grading of exams for a bunch of students to show you how we can use VLOOKUP as well as how we can use the if function. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share with anyone that you think needs this. Let's do this. Okay, so what we have here is a bunch of students and their grades in a test. The test result is 75, and then we express those same values as percentages by just dividing the score by 75 and then expressing it as a percentage all the way down here. That's the way you would do that if you need to see how I do that. It's just I do this and I divide it by 75, and then Google Smart Fill suggests the entries for me already. I press Control Enter or Command Enter, and then voila, that's how it happens. Okay, so but now what I want to do is I want to use the if function to tell me whether the student passed or failed. Okay, and we want to use the pass mark of 75%, which is in this box here. Okay, so to do that, we start our if function, =if, press tab to open the function. Okay, so I'm going to turn on the helper formula so you can see the different arguments that the if function takes, so I can explain them as we go. So the most difficult part in the if function is this logical expression. Okay, and the logical expression is just the condition that you're checking for. For example, in this case, we want to know, did the student exceed the pass mark or score below the pass mark? So we need to write some sort of expression that checks for that. Okay, and we can only use what we call logical operators to check for that. So either equal signs, or we can use these greater than or less than symbols. Okay, so in this particular case, I want to check if the score, which is here, that score is greater than or equal to this pass mark. Okay, that's how we do it. And I fix the pass mark because we're going to be finding it from the same cell, F and F4, to fix that there. Okay, and our logical expression is done. Once I press the comma, we go into the next part of the if function, which is the value if true. And the value if true and value if false is just a Google Sheets or Excel asking you, when your condition is met, what should I bring back if the value is true? What should I bring back if the value is false? Okay, and every time you enter text, you have to surround it by double quotation marks. So I want it to say pass if true, and I want it to say fail if false. Okay, and every time it bolds, it shows you what argument we're in. Now we're in value if false, and this is why it's green. Okay, so I just close that bracket, hit enter, and I get pass fail again. Smart Fill shows me exactly what I want, and I just press Control Enter or Command Enter, and the same thing is done for the rest of the cells. And we can just check our formulas in here to make sure that it's working well. And as you can see, Excel is going down this column and making sure it checks to see if these individual scores are either pass or fail. Okay, and now what I want to do, I'm just going to make this the same font. Let me do Arial. Let me make this size 12. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I want to use conditional formatting to just color coordinate this based on whether pass or fail exists in the cell. Okay, to do that, I highlight the range as I've done, and I go to format, I go to conditional formatting, and then here in format rules, format cells if, and what I'm just going to use is text contains, and I'm going to say pass, and whenever it's pass, I will let it stay green, and then I want the value to be green and maybe bold. Okay, and as you can see, it's changing in real time, so you can know if what you're doing is actually making sense. Okay, so we're done with that one. I want to add another rule for fail this time, so I remove pass from here and I put fail, and for fail I want the background to be red, and I want the font to be dark red as well, and bolded as well. Okay, very loud way to tell you have failed, but well, that's his life. Okay, so there we have it. So that's how we can use the if function coupled with conditional formatting to give you some sort of indication of which of the students have passed or failed. In a regular example, we could stop there, but now what I want to do is we want to assign grades. Here is our grade book showing you what our grades look like. 90% or higher is A. 82% to 90% is a B, and so on and so forth. That's how this is set up. Okay, so you could do it manually and just like look at the score in here and then come and say it's 93, so therefore it's A, and keep going down, but that takes too long. Okay, so the beauty of VLOOKUP, you can use it to search inside this box, the grade book that you want, and pull out the values that you want. Okay, so VLOOKUP takes 3 compulsory arguments and 1 optional argument. The 3 compulsory arguments are the search key, the range, and the index. The search key is the score, the actual score of the student. It's the one that you're looking for within the range. Okay, so we click there to get that, and then our range is, I'm just going to close this box really quickly. Our range is this grade book over here. Okay, and we just lock this because we don't want Excel to refer to any other range outside that range. Okay, and then let me turn on this helper again so we can see. So now the index is the column where we want to find the grades. Okay, so we know the scores column. The scores are in the first column here. The grades are in the second column. Okay, so therefore our index is 2. Okay, the other option, the optional thing here, argument, is sorted, and is sorted works. It's a bit confusing in Google Sheets because Google Sheets pulls is sorted, which essentially tells you that either the values inside this table need to be sorted or they don't need to be sorted. What does that depend on? If you are searching inside this range, okay, and the values are an exact match to what is in here in the scores, then you don't need to sort the values, in which case the VLOOKUP defaults to false, or you can just put false in here and close the bracket. Okay, but what happens when you put false and the values are not an exact match, and you can see there's some sort of red line that's appearing, so I'm probably going to get an error. Okay, and you see what the error says: did not find value 0.9333 in VLOOKUP evaluation. Google Sheets is telling me that it has looked for this value here inside this table, and it searched in this first column for the value 93.3%, and it didn't find it, and so it gave me an error. Okay, so because of that, we cannot use our formula with false here. So instead, when we don't have exact matches, what we use is true. Okay, and what true simply means is that we want Excel to find the closest match to the score, that is the closest approximate match to the score, or the next smallest value to the score. That's how the VLOOKUP works. Okay, so let's take a look at what happens. So we press enter, and now you see the smart fill is giving us options, and let me just press command enter or control enter on a PC. And now you have our grades here. Okay, and let's just check to see if it makes sense. Okay, so this person got 93, they have an A. This person got 93, they have an A. This person got 46, and they have an E. So we check inside our table, and the next closest value to 46 is 33, which is an E. That is why the VLOOKUP returns E. 89 is a B. It's the next smallest value to 89 is 82. Okay, so that's why. So that's how that works. Okay, so then I can just center this, and there we have it, and we've been able to get our grades pulled into that. Okay, so that's how that works. So I want to use another example to show you how you could use false versus true. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move to the right here, and then so I'm going to make a bunch of random entries. Let me do orange, berries, mangoes, a bunch of fruits, onions. Okay, and then so maybe what if we wanted, we have a list of fruits or groceries here, and this is the item, and then maybe we want to get the amount from a price list that exists here, and this price list could exist in the same sheet or even in a different sheet. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that the table that contains the prices that you want or the items that you want to pull into here, these values always have to be in the leftmost column. That's another drawback of the VLOOKUP, and there are alternatives to the VLOOKUP like index match and XLOOKUP, but VLOOKUP is the most basic lookup reference. You probably want to start there before you get to XLOOKUP or index match. Okay, which one am I missing? Onions. Okay, so maybe we want to say mangoes 5,000, tomatoes 6,000, this is that, and then onions. Okay, so maybe this is what our price list looks like. We want to pull the amounts that correspond to each of these values, and we want to get them from this table. Okay, so to do that, we use the VLOOKUP. Okay, and so we want to search, this is the search key. Okay, we want to search inside our price range, and again, let me turn this on so you can see. So the search key is the fruit. Okay, the range is this entire table right here. Okay, and we fix that with FN and F4. Okay, the index, again, this is column 1, this is column 2. So column 2 is the one that has the prices that we want. Okay, and this time we don't want approximate matches. As you can see, we want exact matches. So we want orange to match with orange, we want berries to match with berries, tomatoes with tomatoes, and so on and so forth. So in this case, we would do false. Okay, and as you can see, Excel pulls the values into this cell. Okay, so tomatoes 5,400, we see that's correct. Onions 1,200, 1,200. So that is how you can use the VLOOKUPs using either false in that fourth argument, either false or true. Okay, this right here. So that's the tricky part. More often than not, you probably want to use exact matches. And whenever you're using an exact match, you may not even have to include true or false, because remember, this is sorted here, is surrounded by square brackets, which means that that argument is optional. Okay, if that argument is optional, you don't have to include it in the formula. So in this particular case, we could delete false and press enter, and our formula would still work. Okay, as you see there, you can copy it down. You see our formula still works without the false included. Okay, so that's an important thing to note. But otherwise, very briefly and very quickly, that is how you use the if formula and the VLOOKUP function. VLOOKUP is very useful for looking inside tables and pulling information from those tables and putting them in other places. The if function is used for creating conditions, which are really valuable for a bunch of reasons. I think if is one of the most important functions in Excel, period. But otherwise, let me know if that was useful. Let me know if I need to explain a little better or a bit slower. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments if you have any things you would like to learn. Otherwise, see you next week, and goodbye.